Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of GGReemie. It is February, which is Black History Month, and this month I just wanted to shed some light on some streamers that I really love and appreciate, and they are in the Black community. And the streamer that we're gonna interview today is DaFemalePhenom. She is one of my personal favorite streamers, and when I first started getting into Twitch, she's one of the first people that I ever watched, and it was an honor to get to interview her. And this is going to be a two-parter because there was just so much insightful information, and we had so much fun talking to each other that it went really long, so I had to break it down into two amazing episodes. You guys are going to love every single minute of this interview because I enjoyed it. It was funny, it was tear-jerking, it was everything and more that I could have ever wanted out of interviewing somebody that I look up to as a streamer. So without further ado, here is the interview with DaFemalePhenom. Hey, Gigi. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of GGReemie. Today I am here with DaFemalePhenom. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello. I just want to start off before I get into this interview. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast.
Same.
You are one of my favorite streamers. So when I was thinking about the people that I wanted to have on the show, you were definitely at the top of the list.
Oh my God.
And it took me a little minute to send that email.
Really?
I was like, I don't know.
It's crazy because I hear people say that, and then I'm sitting there when I get you guys' emails, I'm like, yay, they asked me. Oh my God, thank you so much.
I was like, I don't.
Oh my gosh. Anything for you, Remy. Anything for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel so happy about that. But I remember it's been a while since I first started following your content and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I think it was 2019.
Oh wow.
You were starting to play Realm of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to you on my phone, or watching you on my phone, and my mom heard you. And she was like, who is that? She's hilarious.
Oh wow.
She was so into it. She doesn't know anything about Twitch or anything.
Mm-hmm.
She just heard you talking, and she thought you were the funniest person ever.
Oh my God.
So I was
Thanks, Mom.
that was a great, it's been a great memory. But
Thank you.
I think about that time, I'm like,
oh my goodness. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it.
But welcome. How are you doing today?
I am good. I'm good. I feel like I'm nervous, but I feel like I'm around friends, so thank you for that. I'm really excited, so thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm gonna get into it.
Okay.
I'm still a little, a little nervous.
That's okay. I am too. So we holding each other's hands.
All right, so I'm gonna just start off with the first question. Mm-hmm. A question I like to ask all the streamers and content creators that come on the show. How did you first get started with your content creation journey?
So I started out, I got married in 2013, and I started vlogging my wedding because I did everything myself.
Oh.
And then I stepped into mommy vlogging, and then I got nervous because it was like the mommy vloggers, they are savages. If they don't agree with certain things or agree with certain, I think it was something weird, my oldest son, Nate, I was talking about Geronimo's clothing and stuff like that. And I was doing how they have the sale. And I got all of these weird comments oh my God, you shop there and yada, yada, yada. So I got so scared, and I closed my YouTube account, right? Oh. And then I was but at the time I'm well, I didn't know that you could just delete the comments. So I'm just okay. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to open it back up. And then I started vlogging my hysterectomy journey and
Ooh.
stuff like that. And then I started going to therapy. And my therapist asked me, well, what are some of the things that you miss doing? And I told her, like, gaming and wrestling and stuff like that. And she bought me a year subscription to PSN. And she said, well, get on there and make friends. That's your assignment. And it's weird because
That's an
Friday the
amazing
13th.
therapist.
Yes, she's amazing. I got that, and Friday the 13th came out. I met this other content creator who's amazing. And she just was like, oh my God, you're so funny. Like, have you thought about streaming? And I'm like, what, like Jazzy and Poise and Burleezy does? And she said, yeah. So she helped me set everything up. She helped me like learn all the ins and out of like streaming and stuff like that from your PlayStation. And one weekend she said, well, you know, are you close to a micro center? And I said, yeah. So she said, well, meet me out here and I have something for you. Now, she had just upgraded her setup to like this beautiful, like $7,000 rig. Oh my gosh. It was so dope. And she's like, well, come over to my car. I have something for you. And she gifted me my first PC.
Oh, that's so sweet.
She gave it, and I'm bawling, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta give you money. And she said, no, you don't. She said, every time that you start feeling down or you feeling like you want to give up on life, she was like, please just remember what you were supposed to do and what you're good at and why you're here. And I'm just like, oh my God, both of us are crying and snotting. And I just hugged her so tight. And I took that PC, and it's just been me ever since, just like doing this thing. So shout out to her. She doesn't want me to say her name because she doesn't like, she has a hard time with like like attention and accolades, but
I can understand that.
that's my girl. So I owe her everything. Every time that I feel like I want to give up or it's just too much, I think about that moment and think about I want to be able to bless somebody like that. So that's how I got started. Friday the 13th, and you know, my good friend who decided to give me that PC. So yeah.
Shout out to the friend.
Yes.
So before I go back to the next question, I also am on your website,
Yes.
GGReemie.com. It also said that you emerged in 2009 as a radio personality?
Yeah, so a guy friend, so I was in this wrestling group on Facebook. And I had started editing like videos, like highlights and like piecing them together. And he was like, oh my God, he was like, you edit so well. But mind you, I'm doing this from my phone. I'm like recording little clips and then I'm putting them together in Instagram. And he's like, you like showed the show without spoiling anything. And I was like, really? So he was like, and one day I was going back and forth with this guy who was talking about Undertaker. Like, Undertaker is my favorite. And I know Undertaker, I probably know his date of birth and the time he was born and everything, right? And this guy wanted to debate with me about wrestling and the Undertaker. And everybody was like, oh my God, you ate him up, right? So I'll never forget his name. His name is Derek. And he said, I have this idea and I think you would be perfect for it. So I'm like, what in the world? And then he was like, have you ever done radio? And I said, nope. And he said, well, I think you need to. He said, because you know too much, you have too much knowledge about wrestling to be having it sit there like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And it was very like, I thought that I was just going to go on this radio show and run my mouth. No. It's like a whole production. I had to take a class on like copyright infringement, how many times we can say the F-bomb and stuff like it's a lot that goes into it, like, right? And I'm like, oh my God, like my mouth is horrible. How am I going to do this? And I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this because I knew it was something that I needed to do this for. So I said, well, let me go in. And we're sitting there and we're figuring out each other's radio names. And I had the idea of Death Valley Princess, but I was like, that's not me. That's too girly. That sounds like you know. And then they were like, you know what? Why don't you do the Female Phenom? And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. That sounds like a wrestler's name. And then he was like, well, no, don't spell it like everybody else. THE, spelled DA. And I said, I love it. Because I'm not the type of person who is like doing everything that everybody else is doing. Like, I'm not your average girl. And so I like that. I would have somebody say, well, you know, that's spelled wrong. And it's like, no, that's the way I want to spell it. Thank you. So I love that idea. We got on the show. I learned so much. It was so fun. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish due to I just felt like, you know, I was the girl in the group, and I felt like at some point it was challenging at times, like, you know wrestling enough, but you can't know as much as the guys, or you can't overshine the guys. So after those differences, I had to take a step back, and I knew that I wanted to share my love with wrestling for the world. I just didn't know at that point that I was going to have an opportunity for it. But I am grateful that I did do that experience. It helped me overcome a lot internally, and I got to have a lot of fun, meet new people. But yep, that's how the Female Phenom started. Yep.
Okay. Do you feel like that experience helped you when you first got started with streaming?
Yes. I think it was because I was like, I'm an introvert, and I always feel like when I'm talking to people, I sound stupid or I'm talking too much. So I try to like cower in and then just like the things that I liked, and keep it to myself. Because, coming up, like, we're not allowed to like things because it's like either white people stuff or like, oh my God, you're a nerd. You know what I'm saying? So I just liked my gaming and wrestling and horror and stuff and kept it to myself. But once I stepped out into that space and people were listening to what I had to say, and I got to meet new people and communicate back with them and share certain WrestleMania experiences and things like that, I was like, this is neat. Like, there's other people in the world who like the same things I do. This is cool. So I think that's how I became comfortable. And I don't think if I didn't do the radio, I don't think that I probably would have been, it probably would have took a long time for me to start content creation, but I don't think that I probably would have started it when I did. It would have been like way later because I have to like work myself up to stuff, and I get scared. So yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of people.
Yes.
I get asked a lot, like, how do I do it? I'm like, you just gotta push yourself.
Yes.
But I think for me, me having like a theater-esque background, that also helps.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. still an introvert, but like it's easier to like bring not necessarily a character, but like bring that extroverted side out, especially when like streaming. After a while, you just like forget like the camera and like the audience is there, and you're just like, you just find yourself just talking about whatever.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
I love that. All right. So, since you are a gamer, which we love over here, please tell me, like, what was the first ever game that you played?
The first ever game that I played was, oh my God, it was on my older sister's Atari. I cannot remember the name of this, and she's going to kill me because we were just talking about it the other day. So that was the first game I played, actually. The first game I ever played on my own, Super Mario, the Nintendo version. What got me into horror was Friday the 13th Nintendo version. So those games I like hold near and dear to my heart, especially Friday the 13th, because that was like my introduction to like horror gaming in itself. So yeah, I love those games. It was hard. Oh my God. No saves, no memory cards, no nothing. So I'm telling my age. But it was, yeah, it was a good time. A hard time, but it was a good one.
I feel like not having a memory card is like one of the better experiences because you know you gotta get in there.
You gotta get it. Yup. Yes, indeed.
Okay, so what's like your current faves?
My current faves are Friday the 13th, Dead by Daylight, Texas Chainsaw,
Oh my gosh.
all of the Supermassive games,
Yes. Oh my god.
Walking Dead, Telltale, and Detroit Become Human. Those are my all-time favorites. I know why you're laughing. I know exactly why. I know exactly
Oh my
why.
god, that game.
It's so crazy, and it has you thinking like, okay, when is Elon Musk going to make robots and they going to beat us up and take over the world? Yes.
Every time I hear about Detroit Become Human, I think about my stream and my chat and how they always judge me for my choices.
Oh, listen, don't feel bad. Do not feel bad. Oh my God. And it's like it's an experiment. So why is our chat judging us when we're trying to figure things out? It's like life. Like, please.
Like, how did you? They said, why did you destroy Detroit? I'm like, I just wanted Marcus to survive.
Yes, yeah. No, you know what? I was the same way, Remy. I didn't care about anybody else except for Marcus. Marcus? Oh my God. Marcus is my president. Hello?
Exactly.
Oh my God. I was in tears. I wanted to throw my fist up. I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
Marcus for president. Yes. Marcus, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Marcus. Oh my gosh.
They were I think the biggest problem was like I said I wanted to be peaceful, and then halfway through it I'm like, fuck it.
It's hard.
Screw you guys.
Oh
I don't care about these humans.
Once we saw what those androids was going through and heard the backstory, I was like, oh no, we are stuff up. We are messing everything up. I'm sick of this. Oh my good. And especially at the time when that game came out, I think the timing when that game came out and the world was just getting hip to, you know, there's racism, I'm going to record it. This is being done, I'm going to record this. This needs to be put up. Oh my God. Yeah. Yep. So a lot of people got to get out their frustration in that game.
And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've tried to play that a couple of times. Still don't know how to play. I am horrible at that game.
You are not alone. You are not.
I don't get it.
It takes some getting used to. And what I love the fact about they stuck to the scripts of the movie, and I keep trying to tell people because they're like, it's killer bias, and I'm like, they don't mean it to be that way. They just want it as authentic as the movie. Because if you look at the movie in Texas Chainsaw, there was a family of crazy people, like so they have to implement that in the game so that you guys can get the movie feel of it. But I get it. It is I don't even think I can count on one hand how many times I've escaped. And if I did, it was because somebody was like really carrying me. So don't feel bad. What I always tell people too is if you start out playing the killer first, you'll learn all of the exits because those maps are so massive. Like, oh my God, I feel like it's a victory in itself if I can get out of the basement because I just get lost and scared at the same time. That's not a good thing. It's like, oh my God. And then talking to chat, and then you look up and then Leatherface is slicing your head off. And it's like, no, GG's everybody. I read what you said. Like, thank you.
I just remember it the last time I played. I was just running around with Sally. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I'm going,
Listen, that sounds about right.
but I
And
look
I think,
cute.
yep, you look cute. That's an accomplishment. That should be an achievement in the game because they have cute outfits and
Mm-hmm.
cosmetics and things. So I say GG's, Remy. I
Mm-hmm.
think you gotta win. I think you gotta win.
Oh my god. And then, you said you like the supermassive games. Are
Yes.
you excited for? I don't know what the next one is called. The
Mm-hmm.
Dark Pictures anthology. I just know that it's like in space, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
thought it would have came out by now, but I don't know when
It's
it's coming out.
coming. I cannot wait. And one of my favorite actors is doing the voiceover. Oh my God, what is her name? She was in the movie with Viola Davis where they were like warriors. So I'm
What is
very,
it? Woman King or something like
yes,
that?
that's what it's called. And I always get excited when I see my favorite actors like stepping into like the world of gaming. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, oh my God, she's doing the voiceover. So I just cannot wait to see this unfold and like see the story. Like I'm a sci-fi and horror fan and I grew up on Alien and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I am excited. I'm so excited.
That's another game that I just can't play. Oh my god.
I understand.
I already don't like first person games, and then you're running around, more androids get just beating your
Oh
ass,
my God.
and then the alien. I never finished that game. I can't.
Yes,
It was
yes.
stressing me out.
It took me a little while. I finished it, but so I am not judging anybody who did not finish it because that when I tell you that game whooped me, and I'm
Hmm.
like, oh my God, where is Sigourney Weaver? I need help. Like, it was crazy. It was like the movie on steroids, and I was like, oh my God, was the writers and stuff angry this day? Like, why are you like this? But
Very.
it was a very good game. See, I did not finish Silent Hill. I finished the movies. So
Hmm.
I get it. I totally get it. Totally get it.
The last time I played Alien Isolation, I thought I was doing such a great
You
job.
probably you probably were.
I hid from the alien. I was all
Mhm.
good, and then I started running, and then the alien caught me, and I'm like,
I'm gonna
no.
say the game was being mean to you. I think that you
See,
were doing a very good job, and
thank
the
you.
game just decided to pick on you. And I'm writing a letter, and I'm not gonna take it anymore. I'm not gonna take
I'm tired of this.
it.
Are you excited for Until Dawn, the movie? I'm kind of like
Yes.
on the fence
So
about it.
I am too, because I had it set in my mind that they were one, I thought, and that's not her real name, guys. Kirby from Scream. I thought that we were going to see Kirby in there. I thought we were going to see all of the actors and stuff in there. But I'm okay with that. I also thought that they were going to follow like the game,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that the way that what I had to understand something about writers and stuff is that they want you guys to be like surprised a little bit. And it's like, because when you think about The Walking Dead, it was like, okay, I read the comics, so I already know what's going to happen. And then they
Mm-hmm.
snatch the rug right up from under you. So I was a little bit upset that they didn't do it like the game, but after seeing the trailer, I was like, okay, I see what they're doing. I'm still going to go see it because I love Supermassive. I'm still going to give it a chance, but I was a little bit sad that they didn't keep like the flow of the game and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but I'm still going to check it out, of course. See how it goes.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it,
Mhm.
but my expectations are gonna be a little low.
Low, yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
I'm gonna just be along for the ride.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. Yes.
So, aside from the new Supermassive game that's gonna come out, are there any games that you're like looking forward to in the future?
Um, I am looking forward to oh my God, there is a paranormal activity that is coming out. That was made by the creator and the devs of Mortuary Assistant. So, and I was waiting to get that found footage film that had paranormal elements. So I'm very, very excited about that. I know that the guy that created it, he's going to do so good because Mortuary Assistant was so good. If you have anybody who hasn't played it, please check it out. You might need a new pair of pants, but it's worth it, okay? So, if I need to donate to those new pair of pants, I don't mind it because I set y'all up for it. I'll take the blame. But it's so good. And Brian Clark is like a genius. And the way that his mind works and the way he thinks about video gaming in itself, I think that it's going to be amazing. So I cannot wait for that.
Okay.
Cannot wait.
We're gonna have like a pants donation.
Yeah, I think we should get it started. No dollar amount is too small,
Have you played the new Poppy's Playtime?
I have. Aussie has made sure of that. That is his game alone. I'm not going to, disturb his peace or, take his, gaming experience away from him. But yeah, that game is really, really good. It's really scary. I am afraid of dolls again, and I'm looking at Austin's Huggy Wuggy plushie sideways. So yeah, that game was really good. It was really good. I don't know if it'll be played live, because my wig will probably come off along with my glasses. But yeah, that game was really good. Impressive. Impressive.
I keep saying that I will play it on stream, but I just know.
Yeah.
I already like jump scares.
Oh my, the jump scares.
Something's gonna get broken.
Yes. I agree. The jump scares are there. They are very real, and they are nothing to play with. Nothing.
I'm gonna end up breaking my monitor, and I can't have that.
Yeah,
That'd
just
be like,
push your chair away a little bit. That's a warning. Make sure that your chair is sturdy because if you move back too much, you might fall. So yeah.
Knowing my chat, they would probably screen record that.
They're gonna love it. They love to torture us. They're gonna love it.
Oh my gosh. It's I want to say it's the worst, but it's literally the most funniest thing ever.
It is. Memories, right? Even at your expense.
And then they'll be like, "Oh, but we love you."
Oh, they have to throw that in there. They have to smooth things over.
Speaking of chats, how important is like community when you are streaming, and how do you feel like you foster like a positive environment?
I feel like community is so important because of the simple fact that when you have like events like front page activations or panels or interviews that you're going live for, like your community is your support, not in a monetary expense or viewership, but it's nice to see like those familiar faces there to like give you that source of comfort. So it's not like you have to look at everybody with their underwear on when you're nervous. It's like, oh, my family is here, so I'm going to do great. You know what I mean? And I have been blessed with community members who have been there since the first day I turned that camera on. Like a good, I want to say 90% of them have been like friends, family, aunts and uncles to my boys. Like, it's very important because at the end of the day, like, content creation is hard, especially for us and for people who look like us. So when you find that good group of people who are there for you no matter what you're doing or what you're talking about or what you're playing, that's needed. And I tell people all the time, like, the money is good, but the people who are like supporting your dreams and supporting your ideas and sharing your content, like, that means the world to us, because the more that our clips get out there, the more that we are being noticed by these companies and they're seeing like, this person is really hardworking, we want to collab with her or we want to sponsor her. So I think it's very important. And how I started it was I just, I talk to people like they're human beings for one. And, I don't want people to feel like that they are alone or that I'm above them. Like I have struggles, I've had experiences, I've had, things that I've encountered that, traumatized me and helped me with growth. So I think it's important for you to, especially our people. My mother was always big on like like helping out our black and brown people any way that she can, whether it be knowledge, things that they need, resources. So if I know it and I'm able to give it and share it, that's what I'm going to do, because this is my tribe, these are my people. So I need to make sure that they are okay when I'm okay as well. So I just believe in those things. It's rough because sometimes you have to weed out the people, but you have to give everybody a chance, and you have to give everybody a chance to either redeem themselves or hang themselves or let them be the blessing to you that they are intended to be. So I will say in that aspect is scary and it can get rough, especially when you get attached to people and then they're not there anymore due to, like differences or, hurt or anything like that, or them just like stepping outside of this space like I need a break. You know what I'm saying? But it's worth it at the end of the day because it helps with, if you're not able to like go outside or you have anxiety and social anxiety, it helps out a lot. And it teaches you, you can talk to people, you're good at this, you can make friends, you're worthy of friends. So it's a lot, and it's very, very important. So important.
I think that's something I'm still trying to like work out because I'm so like used to staying inside my
Oh
shell
yeah.
and not reaching out to people, or
Yes.
not getting close but not like getting that close to people. So I like turn into a little bit of a hermit
Yeah.
sometimes.
And it's normal. It is so normal. And I always tell people, like, do it at your own pace. Like, it's so many people that's like, Phenom, you want to come hang out in Discord with me? And I want to go, but sometimes I'm like, oh my God, is Aussie going to be too much? And because, when you leave out of Discord, it's like, doop, doop. And I'm like, I don't know if I can go in there. So a lot of time, and I feel so bad because I don't want anybody to say, well, like, that she think that she doesn't want to hang out with me. And it's like, no, it's my internal thinking. I promise you are amazing. And I want to hang out with you every second of the day because I think that you're awesome. But it's a lot of things that introverts and people that have social anxiety go through on a mental aspect of it. So I tell people, like, please don't stop inviting me. I promise one day I'm going to get in there. But just thank you so much for being patient with me. So, yes.
I think one of the biggest problems is
Hmm.
like in my head, I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna be like, why is she so quiet?
Right.
Or like being
Why is she
like, am I
laughing?
boring?
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
That's what I'm so scared about that.
I am always worried that I am either too boring or I'm too much. Like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, especially when I'm around quiet people, I'm like, and I have to say to them, like, am I talking too much? And they're like, no, you're fine. And I'm like, you liar. But it's like, but I get it, right? That's me thinking and me being inside of my head. So I totally understand. Totally understand.
Like, I
Hmm.
honestly love when people talk because
Yes.
I think I'm more of a listener than a
Hmm.
talker. So when
Hmm.
people are just talking, I'm like, I listen and then I'm like,
Yep.
oh yeah, I did that too.
Uh-huh. You don't have to do all of the work. That's
Yeah.
yes, I get that too. Yes.
I'm like, keep talking. I'm enjoying
Exactly.
this.
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
Do you have any memorable interactions or moments that you have had with your chat?
Oh my God. One I've had a lot of memorable moments, but I think the most favorite one is that they have been able to watch my kids grow. Like all of the moments from, you know, me explaining Austin's diagnosis to Nate's achievements and graduations. Like, the other day, one of my community members was like, "Oh my God, Nate is a grown man. I remember when," and I'm like, "Oh my God, you were there." So that is like touching in itself. Another one is Austin, when he was first diagnosed, he was nonverbal and he was not talking. And we went through speech therapy and all of these things. And like my community has been there with me through the tears, through the frustrations, through the sadness, through the accomplishments. But I think the most memorable one was somebody had subbed and I had to sit Austin in my lap so that I could stream and he would be okay. And I usually say like this spiel, like when somebody subs. And I'm sitting there and I'm getting ready to say it to thank the person for the sub. And Austin, without even thinking, he just completed the sub thing. And I'm looking at chat and everybody is like, "Oh my God, he's talking." And it's like tear emojis and I'm crying and Aussie is like, I think that was the most memorable experience for me because they got it. And they understood my tears of joy. They understood that moment in itself. And it's like, oh my God, like you really love my baby. Like you really was rooting for him. So that is the most memorable experience and the one I will cherish forever, because when in those moments when you feel like you're alone as a parent, like I wasn't alone and I got to share that with somebody, and it wasn't like I had to get on stream and be like, "Guess what? Austin said such and such." They were actually there to witness it and cheer him on.
Probably been happy either way.
Yes. So I think that was my favorite experience. Another experience was I did my first fundraiser, and all of the proceeds and donations went to a mom who was a caregiver for a child that is on the spectrum. And we raised like $600 or $700. And I remember her saying, you know, "Well, how much is a Nintendo Switch? Or I have to save up because I have to pay for her therapy and da-da-da-da-da." And we were able to get her a Nintendo Switch so that she could play and relax. So that was amazing. And I think those are my favorites and the ones that I will cherish forever. So, yes.
That is so sweet. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I love that people just, even if they don't like know you outside of streaming, they just like, they cheer on your accomplishments, no matter how big or small. So that is so sweet.
Yes, it is. I love it.
I know Austin was probably enjoying watching you play the game.
Oh my gosh, yes. When I tell people, like, they're like, "Oh my God, he's so good at content creation." I'm like, well, he was born into it. Like, that's all that he knows. So he's naturally good at it because he was born into it, literally. Yes.
So speaking of Austin, what's like some of his favorite games that he likes to play?
He loves Roblox. He loves Call of Duty.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a beast in it. He also loves like Poppy's Playtime. Anything that keeps him interested and has like his favorite elements in it. He'll at least try it once, but his go-tos are Call of Duty and Roblox. Like, he loves those two games. Loves them.
Call of Duty is so scary to me.
Oh my God, this child, he got me banned. Yes. And you know what? I have to take some responsibility because his mouth is like, okay, yes, but he does it like so respectful and so calm, and I'm like, are you talking to? And he was like, this guy, he doesn't know how to use his weapons and he doesn't know what a loadie. And he's like explaining this to me. And I'm like, well, what is that, Austin? And he's like, well, this is for this and that is for, and I'm like, oh my God. So I had the bright idea to let him, I said, you know what? I'm going to let him level up my account because he's really good at shooter games. And I think, and like him, even him playing like fighting games, this child is, I say God because I forget how old he is, but this child is kicking ass using a controller with his feet. Like, that's how much of a genius. He's playing, Remy, he's playing. I'm watching him one day, and I'm like, Austin, stop playing around. And he was like, no, I'm serious. He likes to use, when he plays mobile games, he knows how to function it with his hands. But when he has a controller in his hands, I don't think he has quite grasped the concept yet. But he was like, I'm going to try this. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like using his feet to use the controls. And he's like kicking ass with it. Like, it's amazing. I have to record it and show it to you one day because I know you're like, how in the hell is that? But the way I'm explaining, it's so amazing, right? So I'm like, well, I'm going to let him level up my account. And I hear him say, you know, I really think that you should try a different weapon. And I was like, Aussie, I said, do not get on voice chat. Stop. So he was like, okay, I'm just trying to help. So he was like, okay. But I can see the frustration in his voice. And he's like, Mommy. So one of my friends, Twisted Reality, he's like a great shooter. And he's like a beast at shooter games, right? And when he rages, it's like, okay, like it's on the next level, right? I'm waiting for my friend and my brother to like punch his camera or something one day while he's streaming. Shout out to Twisted, but I'm just like I call it demon time because he's like goes into this mode where he's just like, oh my God, right? And RC is like his uncle. Like, he calls it full on Uncle Twisted mode. And he was like, Mommy, I'm about to go in Uncle Twisted mode. And I'm like, Austin, please, I would like to play the game a little bit, right? And I hear him talking to this grown man. And I'm like, Aussie, I said, just relax. It's just a game. He was like, but I really want to win today. He was like, I don't have time for these games. Like, those was his exact words.
He don't have time.
He don't have time for the games. And I hear him tell the guy, like, you know, I'm really frustrated because, you know, you need to learn your loadouts because me and my teammates have been carrying you the entire match. And I'm like, here it comes. Here it comes. And I'm just sitting there. And the guy's like, well, no offense. Well, I don't need to take any orders from a little shit asshat kid or something. Like, he called him something. And my 8-year-old child got on the mic and he says, well, maybe if you learn how to play instead of sitting in your mom's basement, being a crybaby, sheet wearing. And I'm like, he's just going in on him, right? And I'm sitting there with my mouth open. I'm like, should I stop this or should I let him rock, right? Because the guy was like being rude, right? And he was like, you know what? You shouldn't even be on this game anyway. Good luck playing it. And then the screen cut out, right? So Austin, he has a difficult time with transitions, right? So I'm expecting him to go full on meltdown. But my baby turned around and was like, yeah, I figured that would happen. He reported us, Mommy. I'm like, no, Austin, he reported me because you're in my account. So the screen cut off. The guy reported us. I had to go through all of these channels to talk to the Activision. And I'm like, listen, this is what happened. I actually have a recording of it. Like, the guy was being rude. And then they reactivated my account. And I'm like, I promise you, I was sitting there with my son. I just wanted him to level up. I'm sure these people are like, this grown ass woman wanted her 8-year-old to level up her account. First of all, what are you doing? Second of all, what is he doing? So it was just like one of them things where I'm like, Aussie, I understand, but please, Mommy wants to play the game. Like, please. I always get anxious because I'm like, Aussie, you're going to get banned. You're going to get banned. And he was like, I don't even care. They're not doing what they're supposed to. So He is like, I cannot. He calls it ranking or leveling up, and he's like, I'm like, honestly, you want to play? He was like, mommy, I'm ranking today and I'm leveling up. I'm like, okay, got it. You can't carry your mom right now, so I understand it. But he's a beast in shooters and fighter games. Like I learned a lot from him, a lot. So yeah, he loves those types of things.
You
Yes.
just sitting there like, where did you learn this?
Yes. Oh my. And he is crazy because he's like scrolling through YouTube, right? And I'm like, honestly, I'm like, you don't forget to watch their whole video. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna come back to it, but I liked it. And I remember asking him, and I'm like, honestly, why don't you finish the videos? And he said, well, I'm trying to learn certain things. And if I feel like they're not teaching, if it's not a teaching video, I'll always leave and come back to it. So he's actually going through YouTube to find people to learn certain things and learn about loadouts, learn about fighting controls, learn about how to create certain things in Roblox, and learn about playing styles. And he's like a little knowledge sponge. Like he likes to soak in information and learn it before he actually jumps into it. And I was trying to get him, and I said, Aussie, you're really good at Poppy's Playtime. I said, why don't you record it? And he said, because I don't want to edit for a long time. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, if I keep messing up in the game, or if I have to stop, then that's going to take more time editing. And I don't want to do that. I just want to have a full playthrough so I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. Go off, son, and I'm just let you do your big one. So I don't bother him when he is, when he's doing it. I let him do his content creation the way that he wants to, and I just let him, do his big one. And it's weird because I feel like he's coming into his own now. Like he's going to be my baby. He's my last baby. So I'm trying to, find that balance of letting him learn things and learn the way he wants to do it. But at the same time, it's like, why won't you let mommy help you? But it's amazing to watch him be this content creator. Like he plans out his content. He knows how he wants me to hold the camera. He has a script. Like, he's just amazing.
He got it going on.
He does. He's very hard on himself, and he's like, mommy, I'm not going to put that out because the resolution isn't where I want it to be. And I'm like, okay, all right. He's so good. He is so good at this, and I'm so proud of him. Like, oh, he's amazing. Yes.
You're giving me inspiration.
Oh my goodness, yes. I learned a lot from him and Nate. I'm telling you, like, they know what they doing. They know exactly what they doing. Yes.
Is Nate into content creation as well?
He was. So funny thing is, when I first started content creation, Nate was doing my thumbnails, and he was telling me, like, that looks a mess. You need to redo this. So he was helping me with my thumbnails and telling me what to do and helping me set up my stream and stuff. But I think as time, I don't know if I probably worried him so much with it that he's like, I do not want any parts of this anymore. And it's crazy because Nate is the type of person that he's very hard on himself, and he's a perfectionist. And as he's growing, he's going to be 20 in June, but as he's growing, he is like, I remember him saying, if I'm not going to be able to give it 100%, I'm not going to do it. And I get it now with him, because at first I was like, boy, why are you starting stuff and not? And he was like, because I can't put my all into it, so I'm not going to mess with it right now. I'll come back later to it if it nags at me, but if it doesn't, I'm just going to leave it alone. It's not for me. And that made sense. And he started his photography business. I remember I told him, I said, Nate, save your money and get you a Canon and then build your way up to it, right? And I remember him saying, I don't want to have to fix quality later. I don't want to have to try to look back at my photos and say, well, I should have done this. I want to research it. I want to see what I'm supposed to have and then I'll go from there. And I'll never forget it. Like, he paid for his Sony, I think it was an A7. It was one of the newer, it was newer than mine, right? And I remember fussing at him, and I said, boy, you spent all that money. And then I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you know what? I said, I wanted you to listen to your mama. I said, but I'm glad that you didn't, because this was worth it. This was the purchase that you were supposed to make, and this is what you were supposed to do. And the grin on his face was so rewarding, because I felt like he was like, she's listening to me. You know what I'm saying? So he did the photography thing, and he didn't like it. His words, he was like, you know, if your friends need headshots, or if they need like projects out and I could fit them in, I'll do it. He said, but I am not a photography person. And I said, well, Nate, what is it that you want to do? And he said, I want to do videography. And he is enjoying that more. He's doing like music videos, documentaries, vlogging, for content creators and stuff like that. And he's so happy. And I help him set up his website and his booking site and stuff like that. And one of my content creator buddies was like, you told me to go to Nate's site and book him, but I can't book anything. Everything is locked. So I'm like, this child. And I'm like, let me see what's going on, and I'll get back to you. So I'm like, Nate, people are trying to book you for things, and your thing is like, I said, what are you doing? And he was like, oh my, he was like, I forgot to tell you, I'm booked out until probably the end of January, the beginning of February. This was in December.
Oh, booked and busy.
Yes. And I'm like, what? And I said, so he was like, yeah, my schedule is locked. He said, and he showed me the list of things that he had to edit and the list of things that he had to do and his appointments. And I was like, oh yeah. I said, let me let them know, because they thought that it was just, I'm thinking this boy done locked up his schedule and did something. And I had to tell them, I was like, no, he's actually booked. And they were like, oh my God, I'm so sad, but I'm so happy for him. So he is like busting his ass. He's doing that. I'm so proud of him. He's doing that. He's going to electrician school. And I was trying to get him, because I want my kids to have their own business. I do not want them working for anybody. But the way that Nate mind works is, you know, anything can happen. He was like, you know, when COVID happened, a lot of people was hurting because of their businesses. He said, I just want to have a backup plan. And I said, you know what? That's smart. I'm not arguing with it. You doing what you're supposed to do. I'm going to leave you alone. So he's going to a trade school to be an electrician. He's graduating on the 24th from that. So he's doing that, and he's doing his photography business. So I'm so proud of him, because he could be going in so many other directions. He still makes me want to pull out my edges, because he's still, you know, he has a car. He didn't want to get insurance for it, but he's learning his lesson with that. Yes, Remy. The same look that you have, I had. Yes.
Ooh, hold on.
Oh my God. Yeah, but he just wanted to, and I think where his mind was, I have all of this equipment, you know, I need to take this stuff around, and I need to do this stuff. And I'm like, but Nate, you have to do this the way that you're supposed to, please. But he learned his lesson with that. He doesn't have his car because he doesn't have insurance. But he's learning, you know, I have to do things my way, but I also have to do it the right way. And we had that conversation the other day also. So he's learning. I'm learning with him too. Like, you know, he's going to be grown. Like, you can't have your hand on him but for so long. So I'm proud of him. I'm proud of both of my babies, because they're growing, and they're learning, and they're thriving, and I'm here for it. I can't wait to see everything in their new chapter and in their new journey. So I'm so happy for them. Yes.
You just looking at them like, my baby.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so rewarding. Yes.
I love that. Okay, so I want to talk about some of your activist work, because you are an activist for autism awareness and mental health. Yes. Can you let's jump into some of that, and like tell us about some of the activism work that you've done?
So I have done panels. I have actually, outside of streaming, I always I'm going to like informations, seminars and speaking there at schools. I am also going to mental health events here in Baltimore, speaking out there because it's not talked about a lot within the African American community or in the people of color aspect realm. Because in our community, mental health is just something that needs to be prayed off, or we need to just stop being lazy. So I'm trying so hard to get like the parents in our age group or in our generation to get out of that mindset that our parents taught us, and to listen to your babies and to talk to your babies and get them that help that they need so that they can be able to thrive and teach this to their children when they get older. Another thing is that when I found out about autism, I didn't know anything about it. And I thought it was something that was prominent or common within Caucasian culture or Caucasian community, because when you look at billboards, you don't see like Hispanic or black children, talking about autism or giving resources or things like that. You always saw that little white boy and they're talking about autism. So I'm like, okay, that's not something that I need to be worried about. I need to be worried about sickle cell, or I need to be worried about high blood pressure and mental health. But then when it came to our family, it's like, okay, this is what it is. And when I started talking about it in streams, I would either get those parents or people like, oh my God, I get it. Or it's like, what is that? Right? And I'm like, how is it that we do not know about these things? How is it that we do not have these resources, or we don't know where we are supposed to go and what is supposed to be tested, who is supposed to test us? So I'm like, you know what? And I hear my mama talking and she's like, you know what you're supposed to do, right? And I'm like, yep. Using my platform to make sure that people are aware of certain things and they are getting the help that they need. And I remember sitting there, I would hold like every month of Autism Awareness, I would hold like information panels, or I would allow my chat to ask certain things. And then we started the series of the Adventures of Aussie Pants, and I would get parents like, oh my God, thank you for this because I feel so alone, or I feel so judged and I'm not allowed to say certain things. You know what I'm saying? So I always try to talk, and if I see something, whether it be in schools or within the school system or at school board meetings, I am that person that is standing up and saying, this is what our babies need. This is what we should have. This is what needs to be talked about more. Because I think a lot of times people are thinking that certain people aren't saying anything because they don't want to. But what I want people to understand is that a lot of times it's because they don't know who to talk to, or they don't know the verbiage, or they don't have the right tools, or they don't have the right access to speak out, or the right information to speak out on certain things. So I am talking to anybody who would listen, whether it's a government official, a mom needing advice, or someone in my chat. So I'm just using my voice as much as I can to talk about these things because it's needed. I've had people, there was always this stigma also about self-diagnosis. And I had to tell people that, while some other people are using it as a trend and using it for attention, after talking to people and I started asking questions like, well, how did you come up with this self-diagnosis? Why do you feel that you are autistic? And they're like, I can relate to things that people are talking about, or I was so frustrated that I didn't know what was wrong with me. And then when I started talking to people, or I would find out about this, I'm like, okay, I need to go get evaluated, or this is what it is. So then it opened up the conversation of please don't judge people who are self-diagnosing. Talk to them and see why. And what I keep hearing all the time is, I want to get evaluated, but I can't afford it. Or I want to get evaluated and I don't know where to go. So what I have been doing is trying to look up stuff for people to get, funding or grants, or saying to them, this is who is supposed to do your evaluation. This is where you are supposed to receive services after, and then you go from there. So I've been, I guess you can say an advocate, but I just want everybody to make sure that they know that, if you're struggling that day to take a shower, you're not lazy. If you are feeling like you're overwhelmed, you're not lazy. Take a minute. It could be a meltdown. You could be overstimulated. You're not being a bitch because you don't like the noises or it's too many people talking at one time. You're overstimulated. You're autistic or you have ADHD, and that is okay. So I try to speak and help as much as I can. It's draining and it's tiring, but the reward afterward is that I've helped somebody and that they don't feel alone like I used to. Mm-hmm. That's my main goal. Yes.
I feel like, going back to talking about the African American community, I really do wish that more of our people would just take time to talk about stuff that's happened to them in the past.
Yes.
And learn to heal. But I also feel like we just have a lot of trauma.
Yes. Yes.
And we're taught to just sweep it under the rug and keep it pushing.
Yes.
But
yes.
Sometimes you just really need to talk to people. And I just wish that therapists or psychiatrists were a bit more affordable. Because I feel like mental health, like you said, is so important.
It is.
And I feel like if we had more resources or knew where to go, that a lot more of us would be a lot better.
I agree. It was rough in the beginning for me because there's such a shortage on therapists. And I remember one day I was talking about how I never wanted my children to think that the only way for them to be successful or the only way out is through sports. And there's nothing wrong with sports, but I feel like the go-to for our males especially is that you have to be in football or you have to play basketball or you have to be in some kind of area or field that black men or black women are winning. And I'm like, I don't want my children to be basketball players, doctors, lawyers, etc. I want them to be therapists. I want them to be doctors. Like my god sister, when she got her white coat, and when my sister, she's actually my cousin, when she got her degree and her license as a nurse practitioner, it made me so overwhelmed with joy, and I'm so proud of them because it's another face that looks like me who gets me, who is not going to label this as a common disease or a common area of medicine, and they are going to talk to me as a black woman, or they're going to talk to my brothers and my friends as black men. You see what I'm saying? So I just want people to understand that, there are therapists out here that look like us and who can identify with us and who get us. It's just that we can't afford them, or their schedule is so booked because there is a shortage that they're booking out into the summertime and we're in March. You know what I'm saying? And it just sucks because, number one, if you look at the level in the chain of things, education is so high, right? And I am one of them parents. I told Nate, I am not that person that says you have to go and go to college, because I don't want you to be in debt. I do not want you to, get into a major or a field and you've already spent $10,000s on it and then you can't even get a job. You know what I'm saying? I don't want him to, it's about breaking generational curses, like generational wealth. We preach it all the time, but we're not looking at these people are, going to school and they can't get that therapist job or that social work job. These people are going to school and they can't get that IT job even, because it's either about who you know or how long you've known them. And it sucks because a lot of people want to be therapists. A lot of people want to go to therapy, but they can't afford it. They can't afford the education. They can't afford to pay the bills, and they're struggling. If they feel like they want to go and admit themselves, they don't have any beds because they're pulling people off of the street, or they're dumping them there because they don't have anywhere else to place them. But if they would have gotten that therapy and they would have gotten that help, they wouldn't be where they're at and highly medicated and just walking around like zombies. So I always, always, always preach, raise these little ladies to be therapists and these little men to be doctors and stuff, because we need them bad. we need
do.
them so bad. Yes.
There's nothing like, I don't know what it is about having a therapist that looks like you.
Yes.
It just feels like a warm hug. I remember it was like 2 years ago. I was having like a rough time, and my job like had this thing where they give you like 5 free sessions of BetterHelp.
Wow.
And I found me a Black therapist, and she was so amazing.
Oh my gosh.
The first session, I was in there like boohoo crying, and she was like, "Girl, we got you.
Yup.
This is what's going on. This is what's going on." And I left that session. It was 45 minutes. I was so like, it felt like it went by so fast.
Quick. It does. It does.
But after it, I was like,
it's like a breath of fresh air. And I am in a space right now where I'm going through some things, and it's a possibility I might have to go back to work. And I'm worried about content creation, but I'm like, every Friday I see my therapist. Like, when am I going to deal with that? That is my biggest fear. Like, I'm finally able, and I call her, we laugh all the time, I call her my professional best friend, because, and what's crazy is that she's not of African American descent, or she's not a person of color, but I had to go through so many that I felt like wasn't giving me what I needed at the time. And I was like, you know what, if this does not work out, I am done, And I remember seeing her, and I'm looking like, yep, I'm going to have to reschedule. But after giving her a chance and talking to her, thankfully it worked out. So it's sad that, when you're thinking about going back into the working field, or you're thinking about a transition, about moving out of state, or etc., it's like, what's going to happen with my therapy? Like, you need it. You need that so bad. And once you get it, and you're able to see like, this is working and this is helping, and why have I not had this all this time? It sucks. It really sucks. So I totally I feel like that is one of the reasons I feel like healthcare should be free. If not healthcare in itself, mental health should be free, please. Because I think that is one of the things that is needed more than anything.
I think all the healthcare should be free, honestly.
I do too.
Good Lord.
Yes.
It's too expensive
It
just for
is.
anything.
It is.
I saw, like, I don't remember who made the video, but I was on TikTok, like I always am. And just like, having a baby in general.
When I look at my bill and Austin was premature, and he had to be in the NICU for like a month and a day. And I looked at that bill, and I'm like, oh my God, I would never be able to recover from this if I had to pay this out of pocket. Like, all in itself, like on my own. I don't know how I would do this. And it's like, I don't think people fully understand like how people are feeling about medical bills, and their mental health on top of it. It's like, I want to get the help, but can I afford it? I want to go to the ER. Can I afford it? And I'm like, oh my God, like it costs this much for a capsule or a Tylenol? Like, are you kidding me?
Charging you for the air you breathe.
Yes. Like, oh my. And then there's disposable fees. Like, you're charging me because you have to take out the trash. Like, I feel like that's a bit excessive.
Wait, what?
Yeah. There is a disposable fee. And the highest disposable fee I have seen was $1,000 and so dollars. And it's like for trash. I said, oh my God, we're charged to take out the trash? It's crazy. It is crazy. Look at your bills, guys, and look at those itemized bills. It'll either make you cry or give you more insight on what is happening in this world. Yes. My gosh.
No wonder people don't go to hospitals.
Yes.
Good Lord. They're going to charge you for the cup of ice that you get.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, ma'am. That is being charged also. Yes.
Okay. What do you feel like are some of the misconceptions about autism that people might not be aware of?
The first one is that it has a look. I used to get so annoyed, but as I'm growing through this journey, and as I am like being more as an advocate and an activist to it, a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people, they want to say something as a source of comfort, or they want to, say something to say, well, he is perfect, but they don't know the right tools. And I keep hearing all the time, well, I would have never known that something was wrong with him, or I would have never known that he was autistic. And I have to say to people, I'm not trying to be a bitch, but that's not a compliment. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't make us feel any better, and it doesn't make the individual feel any better. And then once I start talking to them, I either get a, well, okay then, or I get a, well, thank you so much. I didn't know that, and I appreciate you taking the time to tell me that. So that is one of my biggest ones. Another one is that after being in parent groups or in being in certain spaces, I think that a lot of our parenting styles have crossed over, right? And we grew up in a generation where it was belt to ass, right? And what I learned was that you cannot do that with special needs kids. Hell, you really can't do it, period, at times. And coming up in an era where you were meant to be seen and not heard. But at a certain aspect, like my mama and my dad, they carried on that tradition, but I think my mama didn't do it as much because of how she remembered feeling. And I remember my mother saying that she never wanted her children to feel how she felt as a child. So she took the time to do things different. Like my mother allowed us, at times she was like, we're allowed this one time to ask why, or we're allowed this one time to ask, well, because she wanted us to understand the punishment. She wanted us to understand the consequences. And learning in certain parent groups, some parents still have that mentality, I don't care what is going on, they still gonna get their ass whipped. But I remember one time I had popped Austin's hand for something because I know what it was, he wanted to touch the iron. And I was like, Austin, you cannot do that. But I realized me popping him was out of my anxiety. He wasn't learning anything. And he turned around and was like, You're beating me up. Like, why are you hitting me? You said that I'm not allowed to hit anybody unless they hit me first. And I'm like, you know what? Mommy did teach you that. I apologize. The reason why mommy did that was because if you touch that, you're going to hurt yourself. And I remember his behavior therapist said to me the next time that he does it, let him touch it. And I'm like, what? And she said, let him touch it. He has to identify this is heat. Heat hurts if we do things like this. And I remember the last time he was like, Mommy, iron hot? And I said, yes, iron hot. And he said, touch it? I said, touch it. And he touched it, and he was like, oh, iron hot. I said, yes, iron is hot. Iron hurts. And he never touched it again. And I had to correlate that with, this is how he needs to be taught. This is how he has to learn. Me spanking him or me popping his hand, he's not going to see anything but violence, and he's not going to see anything but, I'm angry, so I hit. I'm not supposed to do something, or I did something wrong, so I'm supposed to pop somebody or punch somebody. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want them to learn that way. I want them to learn that, this is why you are punished, and this is why you are getting your tablet taken away. And if you look at the ratio of parents, and I actually did data after sitting in, support groups or sitting in Facebook groups, and I looked at the statistics of parents saying, well, I don't know why they won't get it. I keep spanking them. I keep doing this. And because they're not putting two and two together. All they know is if they do something wrong, they're going to get popped or they're going to get spanked, versus you cannot do this because this is very dangerous. You cannot act this way because it's not nice. You cannot talk to mommy like this. You cannot talk to other people like this. How would you feel if someone talked like that to you? How would you feel if someone took that from you? You have to sit down and meet them where they're at in order to discipline them. So that is kind of frustration to hear other parents when you're voicing your frustrations that you had that day, or you're voicing what you went through, and their first reaction is, well, you better than me because I would have did this or I would have did that. And it's like, when you have children or individuals on the spectrum, and I look at where their combativeness comes from, they're learning it from the parents. When you were disciplining them, you were popping them, you were hitting them. So now when they are having meltdowns and they are frustrated, what are they doing? They're banging their head, they're popping themselves, they're biting, they're kicking, they're punching. And it's crazy because once I stopped going that route with Austin, and he, in addition to his behavior therapy, in addition to him being able to talk through his emotions and learn how to regulate his emotions, I don't have those issues anymore. I don't. I get the, mommy, I'm very upset, or you made me very angry. And then we can have those conversations that it's okay for you to be upset and it's okay for you to be angry. I know that you feel like mommy is mean, but this is how mommy is supposed to teach you. You're still punished. You can cry, you can fuss, you can do your temper tantrum like the kid in Popeyes on the meme, but this is what it's going to be. And it also had to be me realizing where I was in my mental health. Like, a lot of times we're not talking about the caregivers, how they develop anxiety because of situations that they have endured, or because of experiences that they have endured with the loved ones that they're caring from. And once I started learning where my anxiety comes from, and why, I don't want to do this with him today, or I don't want to take him anywhere today because I know what's going to happen, or I'm fearful of what's going to happen. And then I got to talk it out with my therapist and take medication. I'm able to parent better, and I'm able to be a better mom for my baby. So those are the things that rub me and make my lace front itch the most. So those
it grinds your gears.
Yes, it grinds my gears. So those are the things that really, 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 really give me like, no. So yes. Yes.
But I feel like it kind of also helps you like learn to express yourself as well. Like, instead of getting angry this way, you learn to like talk it out and explain stuff. So
yes, indeed. Yes.
It's like kind of working both ways.
Yes, indeed. Definitely.
Did you have to like take classes or like learn?
What I feel like should be mandatory is kind of not mandatory. And the reason why I say that is I feel like once we get so how things go, but I also understand from working in the medical field, I also understand the other side of it too. You get those parents who are like, I don't need anybody to teach me how to parent, and I don't need any, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's not mandatory because of that aspect. But I wish that I would have had that option, or I would have had that advice, you know, and now we have this diagnosis, so now we're going to set you up with this, or now we're going to set you up with that. They gave me resources and said, these are things that might be helpful to you, but it was, here's this, use it at your leisure, or use it if you want to, and then they send you on your merry way. Yes. So it was like I got the diagnosis and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do now? And it was like, okay, I had to do research. I had to assign myself a social worker. And I remember having people say, a social worker, like, isn't that for CPS? And I'm like, no, this lady is helping me. Like, you need one of these. And once I got the social worker and she was helping me along with my own research, that's how I was able to navigate through this. This is how I was able to get Austin help. This is how I was able to learn how to talk to people and how to ask questions and stuff like that. So I really, really wish that classes were offered. And that, like, light bulb, I'm thinking about maybe doing something like that, like maybe like the first couple of sessions free, depending on where my needs are and what I have to do and how I need to set things up. Because what I also hate is that I'm hearing a lot of moms saying, well, I really want to advocate when I go to these board meetings, these school meetings, or I really want to advocate to show me things, but I can't afford it. And I understand, you know, our resources and stuff, we need to be paid for those things. But when you think of nonprofit agencies, you know, I feel like if we work together and we're getting the same grants that they are getting and we're getting the same resources and tools that they are getting, we can be able to help these caregivers and help these moms and help these individuals as they grow up and they're going off in their own into society. Because even though this is labeled as a disability, I feel like disabilities should have accommodations. Like, my child does not like being in school all day long because it's overwhelming for him and it's overstimulating. So by Thursday, he's like, Mommy, Friday is my early day. Can I please just stay home? And I'm like, you deserve a mental health day. You work hard this week. You can stay home. And I feel like, what is that going to look like for him in the workplace? How is this going to look like when he goes to work? You know what I mean? Because if he calls out a lot, he's going to get in trouble and they're going to write him up and he's going to get fired. Is this something that he's going to be able to understand? You know what I mean? So I feel like those things should be needed. Classes should be needed because they literally say, this is what autism is. This is their diagnosis. This is what level on the spectrum they're at. And here's a pamphlet. And they send you on your way. Yep.
And they're just like, you're on your own?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Our healthcare system
is jacked up.
A reboot.
Yes.
Something. They kind of do that, like, and just like the checkups too. They're just like, oh, we can't tell what's wrong with you. Lose weight.
Right. But you know what I noticed too, Remy, is I went to the doctors yesterday and I had a Caucasian gynecologist and yesterday I had a black gynecologist. And the difference between the two was like, this is why we need our people in healthcare. Because after I found out the test that I needed that was not offered to me, the amount of time that I had for my appointments, the services that I did not know that I needed or that I should have asked for. And this queen was telling me, and I'm like, I could have avoided this second appointment if I would have had this information the first time. And she's nodding her head like, yes. And she said, if you do not get me the next time, this is what they need to do. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, and once my sister explained it to me, she's a nurse practitioner. And she said to me, they're going off of statistics because our people are leery of research and are leery of studies because of the Tuskegee and study of the all of these things that was done to our people, and they were telling them, well, this is for research so that we can help you, but it wasn't to benefit our people. It was to screw them up and mess them up internally, right? So our culture, we're not going to that research. We're not trying that trial of medicine because it can mess us up, right? And we're thinking in our minds, this is not for us. This is for other things. But on one hand, if we had of went, then it wouldn't be a generalized study of Caucasian people. It wouldn't have been they wouldn't have been the model of how much we are supposed to weigh, how much of this of our intake. So they are basing our, and I don't want anybody, if you're hearing this and I'm wrong, please correct me. I'm open to learning anything, right? But I'm just getting from the medical standpoint of what my sister explained to me. And I feel like if they didn't have that model and they didn't have that standard, I think more people would understand, if not all, but some that work in the medical field could understand, well, this isn't what it's supposed to look like for our people. This isn't what our blood pressure is typically, run for our people. This is not the typical weight for our people. Like, there are some plus size men and women who are healthy because they have a history of people who are thick, but they're still eating and they can't get the weight off. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if things were looked at from that aspect or from that point of view, it wouldn't be a generalized, well, you need to eat grains and oats and this and you need to lose weight. That's not the cause of it, ma'am or sir. This is what's really going on. A lot of people are not getting, when I found out that due to the history of cancer in my family, that I could get tested to see if I need to get a mastectomy as prevention or my lymph nodes done as prevention, and my insurance covers it because of the long line of history of cancer in my family. And I'm like, why is it that nobody knows about this? Like, how long has this been out there? And when I found out that this research study has been out way before Susan G. Komen has made her appearance, I'm like, are you serious? So there have been men and women, especially in our community, that could live long and thriving lives if they would have known, you know what, everybody in my family has brain cancer. Let me figure out which cells we need to attack now so that this can be a preventative. My mom, my grandma, my aunts, my sisters, all of them had breast cancer. Let me remove this now, and then I won't be at a higher risk, and I can be here for my children or for my babies. I'm like, oh my God. But this information was not given because it was only offered to a certain demographic, because number one, they are the ones that can afford it, and number two, they were basing statistics and criteria off of these women. So it's sad and it's crazy, but that's another reason why I always advocate for people to, if it doesn't make sense, get a second opinion. If it doesn't, if you do not understand, tell that doctor, what does this mean? Where does this come from? Who was this research based off of? how can I get further testing to see about this, and where am I going? How much is this going to cost? Is this covered by my insurance? We have the ability to call our insurance companies ourselves and get a breakdown of each test, each blood draw, each scan, each x-ray. You can even call the insurance company, and there is a nurse there that works there that said you can call them if you're feeling some kind of way and you can't afford to go to the ER. You can call your insurance company. There is a rep there that will say, I think you need to go to the ER for this. And it will alleviate all of your problems, and that alleviate that. Yes. And I found that out just for playing around and seeing, well, let me see if this is. And sure enough, I called, I think it's Blue Cross and Blue Shield, state insurance. I think Kaiser has it. Oh my God, is it Aetna? I want to say Aetna has those services also. And I'm pretty sure it's a lot more, but I always I learned in school, to do research, you need parties of 5 or more people or 3 or more companies in order to gather your data or something. And I called those insurance companies just to see. And sure enough, you can call a nurse. There's a nurse there, or a nurse practitioner that can give you that advice. And then if it's determined that, you can determine whether you want to pay that high copay to go to the ER or pay that $20 to see your PCP for a common cold or something, you can do that. And they can advise you on what you need to do. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I got to go do my own research.
Yep. Call them. Yes. Yes, save some money in your pocket for games.
Oh, don't get me started. My backlog is terrible.
Oh my God, yes, me too. Yes.
Just thinking about, and then there's some more games that I want to get.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The never-ending struggle of a gamer.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So what steps do you feel like people can take to be more mindful of people who have autism?
The first thing is to ask questions. I tell people all the time, no question is not a dumb question. I don't get offended. I've heard somebody ask me one time, just to use an example, I heard that you can get autism from eating wheat bread. Is that true? Yes. And I'm like, yes. And I said to them, and they were so fearful, and I felt so bad. But the look on my face, because I have a hard time hiding my emotions, and when I'm uncomfortable, sometimes I laugh at things, and they're not funny. And I had to tell this young man, I was like, I promise you, it is not you. And I had to explain to him, I laugh when I'm uncomfortable, and my facial expression is not because of you. It's because I never heard that. And I want to laugh because it sounds funny. Yeah. And I said to him, well, I have not heard that. I said, but I strongly suggest that you look it up on the CDC website, and it will tell you everything. I said, right now, it hasn't been tested that it's hereditary, or you can get it from certain things. I said, but personally, the things that we are consuming in our body here, I feel like they have a part in our health, but it hasn't been confirmed, so I can't give you that information. And I told him, this is where you need to go. This is where you need to look things up. When you go to your doctor, ask these questions. Ask about these tests. Ask if this testing can be tested out to see where it came from, or if it's hereditary, things of that nature. So I always tell people to ask questions. Don't assume things. Another thing is that parents, Aussie he's going through a tough time with school. He stems a lot. His mind is not where other children are his age. Sometimes I feel like it's on a higher level, and sometimes I feel like it's on a lower level. And his emotions do not look the same as everybody else's. How he deals with his emotions and how he deals with certain changes or certain events in his environment looks kind of weird and different to other people. And I really, really, really wish that parents would teach their kids that things that do not look the same or that look different is not something that's weird. It's not something that should be looked at like it's weird. And we should just ask questions, and we should still love people and be kind no matter what. I had an experience where I went up to Aussie's school, and I was standing in the lunch line, and he has these two friends. I feel like too, like the little girls are more nurturing and they are more protective over him, and I can appreciate that. And they speak up for him, where his male friends are like, "It's okay, bro. We got you. It's okay." And it's so cute, right? And I went up to his school one time, and he was getting picked for a game in the class. And I saw the look on Austin's face, because I recognized that look, and he's expressed it to me before. And he's like, "They never pick me, or I'm always the last one to get picked, so I don't want to do it." And that broke my heart, because I had to say to him, "Well, why do you feel like that?" And he said, "Because I'm weird. Everybody thinks that I'm weird, or they think that I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do, but I don't understand." And he wants to play sports so bad, but because he doesn't understand the concept of the game, and the concept is you have to do certain steps in order to win, he's getting yelled at, or he's getting picked on because he made them lose, or etc., right? But I'm standing there and I'm watching him in the line, and it just broke my heart. And they were down to Austin, and they were down to, I think, another kid, and they were like huddled up and stuff like that. And I heard one of the kids say, "Well, we don't want to pick him because you know what he does," or something like that. And I saw his little eyes welling up, and I said, I got angry. And before I could say anything, there was another kid in his class and was like, "He's not weird, he's autistic. And when he does those things, it's because he's overwhelmed, and that's mean." And tears just started running down my face, because I told that little guy, I said, "Thank you so much." I said, "Where did you learn about that?" And he said, "My mom told me that, because I told her about Austin, and I asked my mom." God, I'm so sorry.
No,
I
it's
asked
okay.
my mom what autism was, and we looked at a video, and she told me this is what things might look like for Austin, and this is why we need to be kind to him and be patient to him. And I just hugged him, and I said, "Thank you so much." And once that little boy talked to those kids, they picked him. And they picked him for that activity, and Austin, like, it was like a breath of fresh air, and he felt like he belonged. And he felt like, they finally got it, and they finally understood. And it was like, oh my God, like, this is what I've been waiting for. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I feel like it was so important for parents to talk to their kids, instead of like just engaging in them being mean, or engaging in, because I've heard other people say, "Well, if you feel like your child is getting bullied, maybe they shouldn't be such a punk, or they shouldn't be doing this," and stuff like that. And I'm like, how is that an effective response to a child who is learning from you? You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that I really, really, really think that is important. And also to, like, just be patient with people. Just be patient and be kind and understanding. Even though you get frustrated, imagine the anxiety and the frustration that they are feeling, because they feel like they're misunderstood, or that they're not important enough to be your friend, or important enough to participate in certain things that you love and they love too, but now they're scared to share that with you because you think that they're weird. So those are very important. Very, very important.
I love the fact that your Austin's friend's mom took the time out of, and to just like do her own little research, and like sit down and explain it to her child. I wish more parents and like just people in general would just like just take a little bit of time to just like understand.
Yes. Yes.
Just sitting that, or even if you don't like understand fully, just like talk to the people.
Yes. Yes.
Get to know them on a different level.
Yes.
And not just assume, oh, this person's weird. And just like write them off.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
That's so sweet.
Oh, it was so good. It made my day, my month. It was so good. Yes.
All right, you guys, that was part 1 of the interview with the female phenom. It was so much fun. Like I said, make sure you follow her on all the social medias. They are linked in the description boxes below. And come back next week to learn some of her favorite hobbies outside of gaming and what she would pick if she could have her own version of what I would like to call Screamomania. Come back next week for some more fun and exciting interviews on GGReemie. Bye!